Welcome to episode number 25 of the Go for Two podcast. I am your host, Jackson Wallace. I got my buddy, my friend, my pal, Lucas. How are you today, buddy?
Fantastic, because it's the pod. So we're fantastic because we're on the pod.
Some might say.
Some could say peachy, but would you say fantastic's better than peachy?
I would think fantastic is better than peachy because depending on your definition of peachy and if you like peach flavor or not. Personally, I don't like peach.
What?
Right? Yeah, I don't like peach. All right, I just don't find it very tasting. It's kind of disgusting.
Why?
So
disgusting.
The taste of peach, unless it's peach cobbler. Now, peach cobbler I can get behind. I like peach cobbler, but any other.
So you like the way peach tastes?
I like the way peach cobbler tastes when it's cooked and seasoned. Don't like peach.
Seasoned. It's just more sugar.
Yeah, it's sweeter. It's what you do with a peach cobbler, Lucas.
So you like sweet peaches?
No. I like peach cobbler. What I don't like is like peach tea, bro. Oh, God, peach tea. There are few things in this world I would rather drink than peach tea.
There are a few things you would rather drink.
There's a million things I'd rather drink in this world than peach tea. Lucas. See, you gotta be tripping up because the peachiness of it all.
You're just.
We're not here to talk about peaches.
No, I'm here to talk about peaches right now. This needs to be heard. That peaches are good. The peach flavor is underrated. All right. Look, that's like saying, look, no. Look. I'll end it on this. Just to say. What Jackson just said, this is coming from a guy that didn't think, right? He didn't think that it was possible for a Cheeto to not be a chip. Because a Cheeto is technically not a chip. It is a puff or popcorn variety. Okay?
Listen, I understand that.
And a hot dog is not a sandwich.
Everybody loves peachy things.
I don't care what anyone says. Jackson also thinks a hot dog is a sandwich. It's not a sandwich. It's a hot dog.
It's definitely a sandwich, but it's a piece of meat in between bread, and you have condiments and sometimes cheese. It's great.
We got any questions this week, Jackson?
We actually do have one question this week, but before we get to the question. Want to start off the pod with kind of a somber tone. For those of you guys who, if you're living under a rock and you don't know, we lost a legend this past Sunday. We lost Kobe Bryant. I think, and why are we talking about Kobe on an NFL podcast? Here's the reason why. Kobe transcended sports. He wasn't just great within basketball. He had a great second career. He was very involved with his family. He was a father. He was a coach, a mentor. He was instrumental in a lot of kids and young adults getting into the game of basketball, getting into sports in general. He had a very strong message about the Mamba mentality and that kind of that dog inside of you. So we just want to, before we get into our questions, have a little moment of silence for the passing of Kobe Bryant. All right. Thank you guys so much for that. Appreciate it. Moving into our questions. Okay, so oddly enough, we did not have a question from Mr. Casey this week. Nothing. Just a couple comments about the XFL, which, I get that. Okay. We might cover some of that XFL later on. But I do have a question from my good buddy Aiden. And Aiden is he's gonna ask both of us this question, Lucas. Okay, so his question is, what is the Chiefs' plan to stop the one and only yard machine, George Kittle? What should their plan be? How are they going to stop him?
Seeing as you knew of this question, I feel like you already have an answer. So
I do have an answer.
You should go first.
I have an answer, and this is going to be one of my points whenever I pick our Super Bowl winner later on in the show. The Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu. Chiefs didn't have him last year. I feel like he's a really good matchup against George Kittle. He's physical. Yeah, he's a little bit smaller, but he hits very hard, and I think he can guard him pretty well. I think he's going to see a lot of coverage one-on-one with George Kittle.
I don't think that's necessarily going to work to stop him. or it may.
I don't think you can ever stop him.
I was
right?
about to
George
say
Kittle
you can't stop George Kittle because you can't stop someone like Gronkowski. You can't stop these big tight ends, Travis
No, but you
Kelce.
can limit him.
You know, you can try to limit them, but I don't even know. I feel like it's going to be a regular day for Kittle. He's going to run into a bunch of double teams. He's the only threat really that they have receiving wise.
Exactly.
Like the others are good, but they're not like Kittle is the
Emmanuel
number
Sanders.
one. So Kittle's going to catch double teams, right? I don't
Absolutely.
think you're going to be able to stop him from doing Kittle stuff though. He's going to make plays, just like Travis Kelce's going to make plays on the other side, and you just have to stop the other plays. You can try to, instead of Kittle being, wow, I just smacked my mic. Instead of Kittle being 100%, you're going to have to make Kittle 80%. And then all the other people, you're going to have to make some plays in other places of the field.
Right. I just feel like one of their best
safety's too small.
For that
too small. They'll have to double him.
He's been hearing that his entire life.
Yeah.
They will double him.
And it'll
I feel like one of them is going to be the Honey Badger.
It might be.
A pretty good job. You know what's interesting, and we'll talk about more of this about the Super Bowl here in a little bit, but we have two of the best tight ends in the NFL going head to head. Isn't that crazy?
I would say it's the two best right now.
Yeah. The two best tight ends. What's that?
Yeah. Pretty cool. Well, I thought you said
awesome.
two of the best. I'm like, this is definitely the top two.
No. These are the top two guys.
Yeah. So
there's debate on number 3.
Since we talked about that a little bit, like AFC, NFC, we had the Pro Bowl last week. So I want us to talk about, is the AFC or the NFC better, Jackson? All right. And I'm gonna let you go first, because I feel like we're probably gonna have differing opinions here.
I think we are, and I think we both have bias for our opinions.
Nope, not biased. I got pure data right here.
You got pure data. You got it all
right up here in the noggin and right down here.
To hear that. I think the NFC is better. I think they have a greater amount of good / competitive teams, all vying for a chance into the playoffs. I felt like there, when we got down towards the end for the AFC, there was 2 teams fighting for one wild card spot, and the NFC had, still had 4 or 5 teams still in contention. When I think about different teams in the NFC, I think about the Vikings, think about the 49ers, of course. I think about the Packers. I think about the Saints, the Seahawks, and I think these other 2 teams are one of them who was a big letdown, of course, my Dallas Cowboys, but I think can be very competitive, especially on a good day. And the Bears, I really think that they're one quarterback away from a possible NFC Championship game. They started to play a lot better towards the end of the year. I also think about some of the talent that the NFC has. Right, the NFC is absolutely loaded at the running back position. Right, you got Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara, Zeke, and Saquon Barkley. Okay, and there's no shortage of quarterback talent either. Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson. Okay, and then you have Michael Thomas on the receiving side. On the defensive end, you have Leighton Vander Esch and Tank Lawrence. And I just feel like the NFC has a lot more to offer. It's a little bit more competitive than the AFC. AFC, I feel like, has the better teams, the better 2 to 3 teams than the NFC total. But I think as a combined conference, that they're better. What do you think? I think you have a different point, Mr. Lucas.
I do.
Lay it on me. Learn me something.
I only got one stat because it's the only one that mattered. All right, that's all I needed. Proof.
Okay, this is going to be one of those remarks. I just feel it.
The NFC has not won the Pro Bowl since 2013. Boom.
And the Pro Bowl hasn't
won it since 2013.
Significant stat.
The 7 years.
Pro Bowl's a game that doesn't matter.
7 years doesn't matter to you. It matters to the players. They make money.
No one tries in the Pro Bowl. No one tries in the Pro Bowl.
Okay, I do think
you got OBJ
some people
dancing with
try.
The mascots on the sideline. Like nobody's trying in the Super Bowl.
Okay.
In the Pro Bowl.
It's whatever.
That's
who usually wins the Super Bowl? The AFC team.
Oh no! I mean, you have the Patriots that won it a year or 2 ago. Then you have the Eagles. You have the Falcons who should have won it.
They didn't.
Right?
Shoulda, coulda, woulda. That was 2010 or 2012. When was that?
2011. 2011. I'm trying to think of the two. The Seahawks.
They won like 2. I said the AFC has won more.
That the AFC has actually won more total
Recently. Like if you look at like the last 20 years, I think the AFC has won most of the Super Bowls. Because you got to think we have the Patriots, we have the Steelers. All right, that's all we need. Those two teams.
We're gonna count teams. We're gonna count teams from 10
and we
years
had
ago
Peyton Manning, and then he also went to the Broncos. In the last 20 years, I said last 20 years.
Yeah, that's the last 20 years. But who's better now, Lucas? The NFC is a better conference now.
Who won the Super Bowl last year?
Years ago. Yeah, last year the AFC. You know that time is done and gone, Mr. Lucas. Okay, we're about the future, right? We're about the now and the present tense.
So we're not about the future. We're about the present.
We're about both. We're not about the past. We'll leave the past behind you.
The AFC is better.
Take Timon's advice.
The AFC's
from
better.
The Lion King and leave the past behind you.
AFC's better.
Okay.
And we have better quarterbacks.
You do have better quarterbacks.
Just saying.
That is true.
So, you know.
That's it.
I think we have more well-rounded teams. What I mean by that is I think there are more teams that can play offense and defense in the AFC than there are teams like in the NFC. Like I feel like there's some more big names maybe in the NFC that you think of, but then the AFC is like
bigger talent,
well-rounded. Like we have those gritty
in the NFC.
We have those gritty people that are actually in there that are good.
3 of the worst teams in the NFL. You had the Jets, the Dolphins, and the Bengals.
Hey, we're gonna get into this later. The Jets were plagued with injuries, and they beat the Cowboys.
Injuries.
Okay.
And isn't that terrible?
What was the other team?
Crazy?
The Dolphins?
You know what's crazy? If we had won that game against a previously mono-ridden Sam Darnold, we would have been in the playoffs. And who knows what could have happened.
Well, you could have won any game that you lost, and you would have been in the playoffs.
Yes, but the one that speaks to me most is the one against the Jets, because that has to be a given, you know?
Well, the one that speaks to me the most is the one where it's like, if you win this, you are in against the Eagles, and you lost against their practice squad.
We did lose against our practice squad. It was actually terribly embarrassing.
Yeah.
We let Carson Wentz beat us with a bunch of no-names.
But I can argue, what teams did you say? You said the Jets, you said the Bengals, and you said...
The Dolphins.
The Dolphins? I could argue that if they were in the NFC, they'd have better records.
No? What?
Because they have to play AFC teams.
Okay, so they get to play against the same terrible conference. Okay.
So they have to play against the same better conference, and therefore are better. This is just
juvenile and trivial at this point.
Oh man. I mean, you know, it's okay, Jackson. You're wrong. It's fine. It's okay. It's okay to lose.
Leave a comment. Who won this debate? I think it's pretty clear.
AFC
for sure.
Yeah, so we're going to debate a little more here. So I seen this cool thing on social media, and it was someone was ranking all the teams in the NFL, like the most balanced team, the best team, the worst team, da-da-da. So we're going to go through those real quick, our rankings for those. I think this will be a cool thing for me and Jackson to do. We don't know what each other picked.
This.
So to start it off, Jackson, most balanced NFL team.
The most balanced NFL team was the New Orleans Saints.
You're delusional.
I felt like they were loaded. I felt like they were loaded on all sides of the ball. I felt like they had an off game against the Vikings and at the worst possible time. I felt like if you play that game 9 times out of 10, they win 8 of them. But yeah, I would think the Saints. I think they're completely loaded on offense. Michael Thomas, best receiver in the NFL. Drew Brees, storied legend. You know, everything from coaching and then special teams and fake punts. And you got quarterbacks playing a little bit of receiver and a little bit of running back here. And they got a bunch of different formations and they can throw you off guard. So, yeah, I pick up the Saints.
I feel that.
Who was your pick?
I went with the 49ers.
Cop-out answer.
How's that a cop-out? You went with the Saints because the picture I sent you had the Saints in there.
Right now, because they're in the Super Bowl.
I don't even like them.
Be balanced.
I don't like them. I don't like the 49ers.
But they're the team that's been covered by the media for the past 2 weeks, and you just jump on that bandwagon.
That's what it is? This is coming from the homer?
That's at least 40% of the reason.
This is coming from the homer. Okay, look. The 49ers.
Have you know, I have the Cowboys as one team on this list, and it was a team that it hurt me to put my.
What is the definition of being balanced? Like they can do it all, pretty much, right? Yeah. Like they can do it all. Okay. Yeah. The 49ers can do it all. The Saints can do it all. But the 49ers can do it all, and they do some of that stuff a little better. And that's why I went with them.
I feel like their defense is much better than the Saints' defense, but the Saints' offense is way more versatile and explosive than the 49ers.
They lost to the Vikings.
Okay, and we're gonna compare Jimmy G to Drew Brees?
No, I'm not comparing Jimmy G to Drew Brees. But the reason that Drew is not as balanced is because they do not have a run game. To be balanced, you have to run and throw the ball. And losing Mark Ingram, I've argued this on this pod, hurt the team.
Ball 10 to 15 times a game.
That was just the last game. Who's being biased just from what they've seen in the last 2 weeks now, Jackson? That's all you've heard is the media. The media's up here like, oh, Jimmy G throws the ball 8 times and they'll win. I feel like I'm having flashbacks of Derrick Henry running the ball 30 times and Tannehill throwing it like 12. All right? Just because you can run the ball.
Henry's a freaking monster.
Just because you can run the ball does not mean that you can't pass the ball. Now.
Yeah, but we're talking about Jimmy G, though.
Okay.
Jimmy G. We're talking about a guy that who you don't even have in your top 10 list for quarterbacks.
That's right.
I mean, I don't either.
But if you can run the ball, you can do everything else. And if being able to run the ball makes your team more balanced, in my opinion. And that's what matters, since this is my choice.
You just have to play action, and that's what we want.
And that's called being balanced on offense.
Oh, that's leaning more towards the run. You got to be able.
It's being balanced. It's being balanced. You run to open up the pass, and then you are balanced because you do both.
Could.
Okay, Jackson's just. He does this thing where like he closes his mind to everyone else's opinions about everything. He's super close-minded, all right? Because he has his own stuff in his head, and that's all that he cares about. And everyone else is wrong, all right?
Saints were definitely the most balanced team, and they should.
If he thought 2 + 2 was 6, it would be 6. It would. If I told him that 2 + 2 was 4, I would be wrong because he would know that it was 6. All right.
That's math, bro.
Best team. Best team. Best team. Go.
Best team. You know what's funny? The 49ers.
I also went with the 49ers. And the reason is the pass rush.
Their defense, yeah. Nick Bosa.
If you can run the football and you can rush the passer, you will win. Facts.
Yeah, you will win 80% of your games. You can do those two
things. Worst team. I'll go. Jackson's taking a drink. The Bengals. Garbage.
Same. Bengals. Absolutely awful. But they're going to win the Joe Burrow sweepstakes.
I mean, that's fine, but is Joe going to win you games next year? Like a lot? To make you good? You think so?
No. But he'll win more games than Andy Dalton has in the past 2 years, which is like 7.
You really think that, though?
I think they're going to have it's going to with the Bengals. Joe Burrow's just one piece. He's not automatically going to come in and fix everything for you. But I think I would rather take Joe Burrow right now than Andy Dalton right now. And I feel like he'll win you more games than Andy Dalton did this past year.
Well, you got nowhere to go but up. So,
yeah,
I would hope so. Best coaching team, best coached team.
Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, 1,000%. We both picked them, I believe, last week to win Coach of the Year. Mike Tomlin deserves it. Dude was awesome.
I mean, when you have a team that, think about it this way, and we talked about it a little bit last week, but you have your starting franchise quarterback go down. Not only that, but you have your second string quarterback go down, and your star running back, right, who just emerged onto the scene last year, right? He goes down. He has concussion injuries, knee injuries, and all. Juju goes down at one point, and he still has them in a position to make the playoffs. There was still a mathematical possibility of them making the playoffs. And that, to me, just comes down to coaching.
Yeah, definitely. When you looked at the talent, excuse me, when you look at the talent that the team did not have at key positions, especially the quarterback, injuries at halfback. You know, we're going to go over the most injured team later, but I think the Steelers are are up there. I actually didn't think about them earlier, but thinking about it right now, like they had a lot of problems.
They were the number 2 most injured team for me. Like,
Juju,
it was them or this other team that I picked.
Yeah, Juju had some
They
problems.
had injuries at key positions. You're absolutely right.
Yeah,
and I also think it's a testament to their coaching. I mean, we're looking at Antonio Brown, right? Arrest warrant out for him, and he was arrested and turned himself in. And think about all that stuff that Mike Tomlin had to deal with over the past 3-4 years. Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown in the same locker room. So it's just a testament to the coaching. Good job.
So next one is best offense.
Kansas City.
Yes, I also picked Kansas City.
They're the most explosive offense in the NFL, and one of the most explosive offenses we have seen in a very long time.
So here's something I didn't like. The list that we originally seen that we looked at, it said the best offense was.
They picked Baltimore.
Baltimore, yeah. And I disagree with that just because I felt like they were the best running team, but not the best. They're not going to go out there and put up the points. They don't have the talent on offense that the Chiefs have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Best defense. This is easy.
By far, the Patriots.
Yeah, got to be the Patriots.
I mean, that defense won them 7 or 8 games this past year and really carried them. Their offense was just completely depleted. And if they were able to score 21 points a game, like if they were able to put together 3 touchdown drives per game, they would have won 14 games this year.
And the defense scored a bunch of those points that they did score.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So that's what I'm saying. If you combine those two things, I mean,
most surprising team.
For me, I feel like this might not be a surprise to you because you were saying it all year long. However, for me, the most surprising team in the NFL has to be the Tennessee Titans. I mean, they made it to the AFC Championship in the most unfathomable way possible. They're in playoff mode for 6 straight weeks. Then you go and you have to go to Foxborough, right? The Patriots hadn't lost a home playoff game there in 12 years. You beat them. Then you have to go to Baltimore, the number 1 rushing team in the NFL, the reigning MVP Lamar Jackson and their quote-unquote unstoppable offense, and you punch them in the mouth and you make your way to Kansas City. Unfortunately, things didn't go so well for you there. However, one of the most improbable seasons I've seen in a long time, and I'm really happy it happened for the city of Nashville.
Yeah, I agree totally. I feel like you have to pick the Tennessee Titans. I mean, I can be surprised that Pittsburgh did what they did. Like it surprised me that they had a pretty big roller coaster. Like it was looking cool coming into the season, and then it was like, oh no, Juju's not gonna be able to do anything, and then it was like Big Ben's hurt, and now it's just like we've hit rock bottom, and then it was like, no, our defense and our coaching is gonna carry us, and then it was like we're getting a wild card spot, we're in a prime position to do it, and then all of a sudden it was like they lose all the games at the end, they don't make it into the playoffs. But yeah, I feel like you got to go with the Titans just because I picked us to go to the Super Bowl. I was a game short. All right, I've never in my life picked the Titans to go to the Super Bowl. This is the first time ever because I thought all of our pieces were coming together.
Right.
Sadly, we were short. But I definitely think that the Titans deserve it.
Yeah. Hats off to the Titans. Good job.
This is my favorite one.
I hate you so much. The biggest letdown team of 2019. The Dallas Cowboys, obviously. Yeah. I mean, everybody's talking at least the NFC Championship game. All the pieces are here. Look at our linebacking core. Jason Witten came back off the Monday Night Football desk. We signed Zeke. You have Amari Cooper, Randall Cobb. You add him, and that's an upgrade. Michael Gallup coming into his second year. Amari Cooper's calling him a number 1B receiver. So it's all the pieces were there, and just 8-8.
Yeah.
We went 5-1 the division and didn't make the playoffs. That's all.
New offensive coordinator comes in. He looks amazing. And
fantastic.
Also, I feel like you got to talk about the fact that Dak was playing for a contract. And I think it showed. And Robert Quinn, you got your edge rushers looked pretty good.
Yeah.
You had Travis Frederick come back in your line.
Dak had 4,900 passing yards. I mean, we were number 1 offense in the NFL for yards per game. We just couldn't cap it off with touchdowns. And, when you're kicking field goals and punting all day, doesn't matter how many yards you get, you're going to lose the game. So
Dak threw some.
Our offensive line went from third best to number 1 ranking in the NFL, but we just couldn't win those close games.
Dak threw some bad interceptions too.
He did.
Like at bad times.
Yeah.
Like quarterbacks are going to throw interceptions, but I felt like it was at times where you were like, if you can just not do it right now, and then he did it, and it was like, okay.
Yeah, or we had a big issue with the fumbling the football this year too. So
right.
Anyway, biggest letdown by far. I mean,
totally.
You couldn't paint a better picture, write a better story for an easier path.
Yep.
To the playoffs with the NFC East the way it was this year. I mean, Dwayne Haskins and the Redskins organization literally rebuilding their entire staff.
Giants.
Eli is handing over to Daniel Jones, and he's okay, and then he's bad, and then Saquon gets hurt, and then
the Eagles practice squad.
The Eagles had a practice squad on the field, so I mean, I don't know what else you want. So yeah, definitely biggest letdown.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure.
Most injured team, team most affected by injury. Yeah, and this was tough because I like I said earlier,
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh really is there, but it kind of felt like the Jets kind of had this thing, and then it was like, well, our quarterback's got mono, he's out for 6 weeks, or
he's out for 6 weeks. You had 7 defensive starters, they're out. You had 2 wide receivers, they're out. You had Le'Veon Bell, who was hurt. Point. I think 3 of their offensive linemen were out at different parts of the year. Their tight end's out for a little bit, then he's back in, and the quarterback's out, and he's back in, then he's back out. It's just, I mean, it's crazy. But what will be super interesting is where the New York Jets go from here, because I feel like they can only go up, and I feel like they're actually, when they're all on the field, super talented, especially with Jamal Adams at safety, one of the most underrated defensive players in the league, I think. And that conference is getting ready for a big shift. Right, the Bills have gotten extremely better. The Patriots look like they're about to split up Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. We don't know if that's actually going to happen or not, but sometime within the next 3 years, almost most definitely, one of them is going to be gone. Right, so the AFC East is actually all of a sudden going to open up within the next 3 years. So it'll be super interesting to see kind of that shift from what we've been accustomed to as the norm of the Patriots winning everything for the past 20 years. It's going to be interesting to see who kind of takes that next leap to the crown for that division. All right, Lucas, let's move on to the who do you got?
To the what? I'm sorry, you cut out. You say future?
Did I really cut out?
It's time to.
Yeah, I said
go off into the future.
Yeah, the team that's got
the
best
I got you. Yeah. So I don't think you picked what I picked. I went with the Dolphins.
I did not pick the Dolphins.
Let me guess, you picked the Bengals.
Absolutely not. Okay, because first of all, I think they're going to lose AJ. Second of all, 12 games. But no, I went with the Indianapolis Colts. I did. I feel like they got a young core group of talented players, especially on defense. I feel like they could only go up. T.Y. Hilton was injured for a big portion of the year. I felt, Jacoby Brissett was injured for a little while. They get a really good quarterback inserted in there, and they have a very, very fruitful future ahead of them. Also, because the AFC South, right? Jaguars
is hard.
Getting worse. Yeah, Jaguars are getting worse. Texans are, they're going to be hanging around there, but still, I feel like the Colts have a really good chance to be continuous playoff contenders for a while.
So
we were talking about this last year with Andrew Luck and the young core that he has around him and how he could be in Super Bowls for the next couple of years. We were talking about that last year, right?
Right, but there's a difference.
So are we saying just because we took out Andrew Luck doesn't mean that they're not have a bright future ahead of them?
Number one, they lost Andrew Luck. Number two. All right, are you ready? Are you ready for it?
I'm ready.
The Titans made the AFC Championship this year.
Oh yeah,
the Texans made it to the divisional round, won the division for the umpteenth time, and had Deshaun Watson
as their coach.
Huh?
They got rid of Bill O'Brien as their coach. You didn't see that?
What?
Yeah, they moved him to GM.
Oh, I thought he was just both.
Is he both? I thought he was done with the coach.
He's been acting coach and GM all year.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's news to me. I thought they just moved him up to a GM role because they didn't want him to coach anymore.
Well, I mean, they might have just took away the coaching part, but he's been like playing both roles this year.
Oh, okay. Well, then I misinterpreted that. Don't listen.
Because for the final game of the season, there was a bunch of talk about how does it feel if you're a coach and you're the GM, and there's an incentive in there for Deshaun Watson to throw one more touchdown pass this year, and he needs one more. Do you send him out there to throw one more, or do you tell him that he's not playing? You know what I mean?
Right.
Anyways, all right, and then Jacksonville didn't have their quarterback Nick Foles all year. They're still a stout defense and are going to have some good draft picks this year. And they're changing stuff up. They're trying to get the bad out of the org, which is spooky. So if they get the bad out, then they could be really good. So, like, the Colts, the Texans, the Titans, the Jacksonville Jaguars, honestly, any team in the division could take over and win the division next year. I think that's something that's cool about the AFC South is that it's super competitive, and you don't definitely know who the winner of it's going to be. But my future pick was the Dolphins. So I went with the Dolphins because they've got like 3 or 4 first-round picks this year. I think they have like 3.
They do.
And then they got another first-round pick that they got from the Texans for next year. For the next 2 years, for the next 2 years, they have multiple first-round picks. Multiple. What are they? They beat some decent teams this year. Their coaching was good this year. Their coach did a good job. He brought it up out of nothing. They're clearly in rebuild mode.
Won 3 games.
And their coach won those 3 games. They didn't win it because of talent that they got now.
Players were begging to leave that team and asked to get traded midway through the season because they wanted to.
It wasn't even midway yet. I think it was like a quarter. It was like 2 games in
the season. Yeah.
But the reason is because it was clear that
they did a good job of acquiring picks. I just don't trust what they're going to do with the picks. They haven't made a good, really first-round selection since Jake Long.
I trust it because of their new coach, and I think that they can do some good stuff with this rebuild.
I mean, I hope the Dolphins are good. It'd be nice to have them in the contention for a change.
I think it'll be nice. I think the Dolphins have a good chance of, snagging like a Tua.
Yeah, I could see them grabbing Tua. Is he gonna be ready? And when do they throw him in the fire?
Let him sit for a year behind Fitzpatrick. You're rebuilding anyways. You want to be bad. Get more good draft picks next year.
Get more good draft picks. This is the answer.
But the Texans gave up so much to get Laramie Tunsil, and it was such a W for the Dolphins. Like, that trade just blows my mind. So when I think future, I think draft picks, and I think Dolphins
have a lot to rebuild. It's just coming down to put your faith in the GM, and you're putting a lot of faith in your GM there. I don't trust him. I feel like the Colts with their.
I'm putting faith in the coach.
With the culture with the Colts, also with the coach of the Colts and their general manager, and the good job that they have done acquiring draft picks and using those draft picks on key role players. I feel like the Colts have a very good future ahead of them. The trouble is, he's got to find your franchise quarterback. We'll see. So
for this one, I was picking a team that was like going to build towards a bright future. You're picking a team that's like already built.
I think you're
like, we need a quarterback.
I feel like they have
they need a
future.
They need a quarterback.
I think that they have one of the brightest futures ahead of them in the NFL, and that can be argued. The Dolphins have potential. It's just going to be what can they do with that.
I get you.
They do have 3 first-round picks.
I'm just saying your pick is kind of like saying the Chiefs have a bright future.
Oh, yeah, no, that was kind of too much of a cop out.
You get what I'm saying? Yeah,
I feel I'm picking up what you're throwing down.
Yeah. Overrated. I have 2 for this.
You have 2 overrated teams?
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll go first because I have 1.
Well, I want to tell you what my 2 categories. I have coming into the year and then ending the year. So if you want me to go first, I can, in case you want to.
Oh, no, it's okay. So I'll just go with my 1. My overrated team is the Texans. Aiden, I know you're listening. I know you've been an MVP listening to all of these podcasts. Thank you so much for giving us a question and listening. But here's the reason, okay, that the Texans are overrated. All right. I feel like they don't utilize DeAndre Hopkins well and near enough. I feel like Bill O'Brien needs to be fired or just leave him as a general manager, right? Because he got rid of Jadeveon Clowney, right? Which I don't think is a very good move. And I feel like that their defense suffered because of it. Their decision making to go for it on fourth down and key spots in the postseason this year was reflective of poor coaching in the moment. And I don't feel like their run game is very, very good either. I feel like the only reason that they won the AFC South is because of Deshaun Watson. Yeah, you have J.J. Watt, but I think he has some durability issues. He's been injured a lot the past 3 years. He is getting older. He's getting up there. And then you get rid of your potential successor in Jadeveon Clowney and trade him to the Seahawks. So I question some of their moves. And I feel like they gave up a lot for Larry Tunsil, which really did help Deshaun Watson. You have to protect your franchise quarterback, but at the same time, you don't have a first-round pick this year.
He didn't play that great, though. So, they don't have a first this year or next year. Ooh,
yeah, so I feel like
feels bad.
Some of the general manager decisions, some of the coaching decisions, especially in key spots, losing of personnel. Yes, you have a fantastic franchise quarterback and an amazing once-in-a-generation talent, DeAndre Hopkins. But other than that,
you don't really have anything else.
There's not a lot to work with. There's not really a solid foundation to build upon to give.
I will say
key pieces.
I will say their halfback got hurt this year at the beginning of the year, so that probably hurt their run game.
True.
But I also picked for the end of the season, like most overrated team. I went with the Texans also. Yeah. It's just everyone's like, oh, Deshaun Watson. Like I'm sitting here, like first take as an example, like Max Kellerman's up here, like. Deshaun Watson is just otherworldly, and if the game is on the line, he is going to win you the game. Some things you can't overcome as a player. Deshaun Watson is good. He's not otherworldly, but he is good. But as a player, you can't overcome coaching.
Correct.
Because eventually, that gets you. Coaching is going to get you. And it's just...
Jason Garrett.
Yeah, 8-8. Coach Clapp.
You have the most talented roster in the league, or at least among the top 5. If you have bad coaching, you're going to lose the division.
Yeah, and then if your team is not that great, you're plagued with injuries, and you have a good coach like the Steelers, you're going to win some games. You're going to do good.
That's right.
So for my coming in, like starting the year, overrated team, I had to go with the Browns.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's such a... I should have picked them. Oh my God, dude! I'll tell you what right now. I will stamp 100% agree with that. Especially coming into the year, everybody was drinking the Browns Kool-Aid. Mm-hmm. Oh, the Browns are going to do something this year. Baker Mayfield's the next guy. He's awesome. No one cares how many commercials that this guy shot. He has talent.
Taking shots at me, Jackson.
He has talent across the board everywhere, and he does. But the Browns. Terribly overrated.
The only thing I have to say about the commercials is the same thing I told you last week. Lamar Jackson has won as many playoff games as Baker Mayfield. All right, I rest my case. My case.
He also has an MVP in a 14-2 season.
That's fine.
And I'll take that in comparison to not even making the playoffs. And
0 playoff wins. All right, didn't do nothing. He ain't nothing. Ain't that right, Casey?
You got a personal vendetta against.
Look, I don't like the Ravens. I don't like running quarterbacks, and
I know you were.
I think Mr. Casey needs to have a talk with you. Needs to have a talk with you, Jackson.
Casey doesn't like Vic. He doesn't like Lamar Jackson.
I liked Vic.
I like Vic too.
Vic could throw the ball. I watched Lamar Jackson in the skills thing.
Especially Vic could throw the ball when he came back from. He could toss. He could sling it.
So I watched the pro skills challenges, that the pros do at the Pro Bowl, I watched Lamar Jackson in a couple of the throwing ones, and let's just say that Devontae Adams and Jarvis Landry hit more targets with the football than Lamar Jackson did.
I saw that. I figured that you would bring that up, and I have no defense for that.
Most accurate passer at 22 years old.
False. That's
or 21, whatever.
22, but whatever. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, 21.
Whatever. I don't have hold.
Lamar is like the youngest passer to have his completion percentage or whatever.
And we'll see how if he gets better passing the ball, because if he goes as good a passer as, watch out.
But yeah, so I had to go with the Browns just because, like, when I thought about it, I was like, overrated the Browns because the Titans played them week 1, and all I heard was about how we were going to get slapped and all that stuff. And so that's the first thing I thought of. But I was like, yeah, but I was like, the Browns were such an overrated, like, 3 weeks in a row, and then it was done. Like all faith was lost after that.
Yeah, now Freddie Kitchens is a tight ends coach for the Giants.
Another example of coaching. Players can't overcome coaching. You Correct. Can, maybe a little bit, every once in a while. Like Deshaun Watson, both players hit you in the backfield at the same time, so you just happen to miraculously stay up.
I have one further thing. What was the deal? You remember that game with Baker Mayfield, okay? And this dude had like 3 different facial hair combinations throughout the course of the game. He came out in a full beard, and then at halftime he shaved it down to a mustache, and then right before the press conference he shaved the mustache off. Like, I don't understand that just tells me he is not confident in himself and his self-appearance, and he's got way too much going on in his head. He's thinking about probably the commercial next he's going to shoot, and he's not worried about the next play he should be calling.
I knew you were going to say something about the commercial.
That's my old man.
You're talking about this, Jackson. You're talking about this. Maybe it was uncomfortable. Maybe it was uncomfortable to him. And by golly, if a man wants to shave his facial hair, he can do it. All right?
You know what else is uncomfortable?
Don't be mad. Don't be upset that you have a little French stash going on and that his facial hair looks better than yours.
You know,
all right?
I'm telling you what, though. This is, it's not bad. It's not bad that I got going here right now.
No, I like it. I like it.
I appreciate that, bro. I appreciate it.
The last one, Jackson, the most underrated team, go.
The most underrated team.
We'll be different on this.
We did. I went Buffalo. I went with the Bills. I felt like people were just waiting for them to lose and wait for them they just kept giving excuses. Josh Allen's not it. They can't do it with Singletary as their running back. Frank Gore's too old. Sean McDermott's not a top coach. And, some of those things might be true. However, they shocked us all this year. The Bills made it to the playoffs, and they really should have beaten Houston. So I don't know, man. I feel like the Bills are kind of up and coming.
So I thought the Bills were actually overrated this year. Just because they played excellent defense, but I don't have any faith in their quarterback.
Very excellent defense. And Josh Allen's got a lot of and I'll tell you what, though. Speaking of Josh Allen, at the end of that wild card game, he choked so massively hard. Literally gave the game away to the Texans. He had him lined up at field goal range, ready to go. And in the span of 2 plays, lost 26 yards. Puts him out of field goal range, gives the ball back to Deshaun Watson. The rest is history.
Yeah, it was sad.
He choked the game, and that's going to stick with him for a while. But they have a lot of key pieces.
My underrated team was the Patriots.
I'm sorry, what?
Did
you just say the most underrated team is the New England Patriots?
This year.
Who everybody was screaming was going to defeat your team, the Tennessee Titans.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were playing in Foxborough. Who got punched in the mouth. Who lost to Miami at the very last week of the season.
There were people questioning the Titans and the Patriots game.
You were saying they're underrated when everyone had them going to the AFC Championship game this year?
The reason I'm saying they didn't have them go in the AFC Championship.
Everybody had them go to the AFC Championship game. You and me had the Super Bowl.
Look, I didn't have them in the Super Bowl. I had the Titans.
Yeah, you did. No, you had Brady and you had Breeze. That's where our picks. Go back and listen to episode 1. And in episode, I believe, 14, when we did a midway point. And look in your journal, bro. And then you brought in a bet that you gave to me saying, well, Jackson, I swear Tad's going to make Super Bowl by go. And we went from there.
What does that say?
I can't read it. I'm blinded by your flashbang. Yeah, Titans versus Saints at the end. When did you make this? Before the playoffs?
This was week 1. Episode 1 of the pod.
Whatever, dude.
What do you mean?
You had Brady and Breeze in the Super Bowl. We had this pick. We had this conversation.
Right here. I have the Cowboys and the Rams in here, Jackson.
You have them as underrated?
This is why I have them as underrated.
You know what?
Are you going to let me talk?
I'm going to shut up. I'm going to let you have the floor. Go ahead.
This is why I have them as underrated. Because the reason, the Titans won, and that makes them the most surprising team. Right? But the Patriots were underrated this year because, number one, no one believed that Tom Brady could do anything. All right? And it comes down to Tom was underrated this year.
This is the worst argument you've ever made in the history of the Go for Two podcast.
What are you talking about?
No one thought Tom Brady, labeled the GOAT, was going to do anything. All I heard was that he had no weapons, that it was not his fault, that he's continued to define age.
No. That's all people like I said. That's all people like me. Stephen A. Smith also said it.
So we're going against your words?
But most of the people,
Lucas.
Most of the people, like Max Kellerman and a large part of the public, thought Tom was washed and that he has fell off the cliff and he has lost it.
Thinking Tom's been washed for the past 7 years.
Exactly, Jackson. Look, it would be no use for us to make this football. No, we're not buying into it. I'm saying they were underrated by the majority of people. Didn't think the Patriots were as good as they actually were. That's what underrated means.
What about you?
What do you mean, what about me? It doesn't matter what I think.
Of them?
I think the Patriots were really good. But
then how can they be underrated?
They're underrated because other people thought less than they really were, Jackson. That's what it means to be underrated.
But they had the number 1 ranked defense.
Yes.
Throughout the entire, they have number 1 special teams unit.
Yes.
So how were people viewing them as underrated? Everybody.
Because everyone thought all you had to do was score 20 points on them and you could win.
Bro, I am baffled by this argument here. And usually
all I heard was the talk about how Tom Brady was washed.
You always present
underrated.
I haven't
from
heard
the beginning of the year
about Tom Brady being washed. I've heard about, oh my gosh, get this man some weapons or he's gonna leave.
It's because you talk to me every day.
Somewhere where he does have some weapons.
I'm the only person that you talk to about.
I've heard it from Stephen A.
I just said a second ago, me and Stephen A. Everyone else I heard.
Lucas, this is the worst argument you've ever made.
Nope.
Good argument. Actually disappointed in you.
Casey will agree.
Casey agrees with anything you say. He loves you. Okay, you were like his brother.
Great minds think alike. All right.
All right, dude. Okay. All right. Well, I'm disappointed. Oh well.
What team did you pick for underrated?
Did I pick for the underrated? The Bills.
I'll say the Titans probably more underrated than the Bills. Let's be honest.
Well, the Titans were definitely underrated. They were actually my pick, but I don't want to. I had a little thing going. I didn't want to have 2 teams as the same.
Oh, you didn't want to double pick them? I got the 49ers in here twice, bro.
Yeah, I wanted to be.
Okay, yeah,
edgy.
Different. Yeah, you're real different because you're weird. All right. It is time for take it or leave it, Mr. Jackson.
Ooh.
All right.
Love take it or leave it. Let's get it.
For those that do not know, take it or leave it is a segment we do every week. I give Jackson about 5 things. I say take it or leave it. He gives his opinion. I give mine, and it's a great time, and Jackson loves it. Ain't that right?
My favorite segment. It's my favorite segment of all time.
All right, number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Take it or leave it, Mr. Jackson.
Yeah.
Dak Prescott will leave the Cowboys.
Leave it. Leave it. He had a statement earlier on this week saying there are very few positions like being the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys in sports, and he wants to preserve that. And he is confident that they will get a deal done. And Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones have been adamant throughout the offseason and even going into the offseason that Dak's deal is their number 1 priority. And even if Dak's deal isn't their number 1 priority and they can't figure out a way to agree on a contract, they're going to tag him this year. And we'll see how he does next year. And
does he play if he's tagged?
Worth 40. Yeah, he'll play.
Okay.
Dak's not the guy who's going to sit out.
All right, well, I didn't think Zeke. I didn't think Zeke was that kind of guy.
With the nose ring. Okay, can we get one straight? Can we get Zeke to? Is there a petition that we can make or something for Zeke to get rid of his nose ring? It looks disgusting and it looks weird. And no. I don't want Zeke on any commercials with the nose ring. It's just
yeah.
And I know I'm a little old fashioned, but it just looks weird.
Yeah, I'm also gonna leave it just because if Dak. I know they don't want to overpay him, but they're gonna have to because Dak wants to be overpaid. So, dude's going to get like $32 million a year, and he's going to have a great time.
I would make that deal right now because I think he's going to end up with something crazy like 38 or 40. And we're going to break the bank, and we're going to have like no cap room available, and we're going to lose a lot of people, and we're probably going to end up like 6-10. So, yeah, I think it's something ridiculous like that, but I would take the deal at 32 right now.
You're delusional.
I wish I was delusional.
You're
I
delusional.
want him to get, he deserves 25. Quarterback position is way overpaid.
He probably deserves 25. I think he'll
get at least 30.
I think he'll get 31. I think at the where other quarterbacks are at, he should get like 28.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I totally agree with you. I would, I really think he deserves 25. If we can get him at 25, that would be great. But it's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. Number 2, Mr. Jackson, take it or leave it. Jimmy G has to take over the Super Bowl in order for them to keep up with the Chiefs and win the game.
Take it. One of the keys for the Kansas City Chiefs for the game is going to be take away their running game, take away as much of George Kittle as possible, make Jimmy G throw it to Emmanuel Sanders and whoever else are the receivers over the middle of the field, deep down the sideline, make him use his arm and prove that he is a franchise quarterback.
I'm also going to take it.
He's going to have to do that to win.
Because all the stuff you said, but there's like a small sliver. There's like a 5% of me that wants to leave it just because I think the 49ers are going to come out and they're going to rush the passer and they're going to run the football. And, I don't know if the Chiefs can stop the run. So we'll see what happens.
That's been that debate in my head. It's just going to be how is this game going to go? I really, don't know who I'm going to pick, but I have my pick right here in my notes. But
ain't there yet.
I know, but this has been the most, I don't know, up in the air pick I've had in a long time.
Number 3, take or leave it. Drew Brees will retire this year.
Oh,
so he's come out and said he's thinking about it.
Yeah, he's thinking about it, and he said he's going to have our decision within a month. I'm going to put it this way: I don't think he wants to. I think he wants to continue playing, and he wants to chase another ring. And that the past 3 years, especially, he's missed out on a prime opportunity to do so. However, I think he's getting pressure from the organization because the Saints don't have a quarterback on their roster right now. Drew Brees and Teddy are both free agents. I believe Taysom Hill is also a free agent. So they're going to have to make some decisions. And the key decision I have here is, all right, well, number one, that's an awkward conversation that you're going to have, that Sean Payton or whoever's going to have with Drew Brees, because look, they're going to say, listen, Drew, and I'm going to ask you this question too, Lucas, how do you go to your franchise, literally to the guy that brought your franchise back from a hurricane, and say, listen, man, we're in a spot right now. Obviously, we want you, you're the guy, you've been the guy for so long, MVP, Super Bowl, but Teddy's going to leave if you don't. And we got to think about our long-term future. How does that conversation even start?
You don't.
Especially with a guy like Drew Brees, who has been the best example of a quarterback and a NFL player on and off the field. Like, exactly. How does that even start?
You don't do that. This is what you do. Number one, you go to him and you say, hey, man, I'm going to pay you $32 million a year, 34, whatever. All right. And whatever he wants, I'm going to pay this, and you're going to play another 2 to 3 years in the NFL. And Teddy's going to go elsewhere because, number one, Teddy is not a long-term solution. Teddy is not good enough to be a long-term solution, and we will draft the quarterback of the future.
Yeah, but don't you think if he's even thinking about it and saying, because I don't think Drew Brees is thinking at this moment in his career, I'm ready to
I'm sorry, your voice cut out on me.
Oh, did it really? Okay. Yeah. I'm saying, don't you think that's like that there has to be some of that outside conversation or outside pressure coming from somebody? Because I don't think Drew Brees is at a point in his career where he's ready to hang it up. I feel like he thinks he's got another 2 or 3 years. So I feel like one of those, like some kind of conversation has taken place.
I think
which
family
kind of worries me.
Number one, I'm sure he feels the
That's
season.
A good point.
And
that's a good point.
His family, I think, is at a stage where he is missing things that he does not want to miss.
His boys are getting older.
So he has to, is it worth it?
That's a good point. And the thing is, and I agree with you, I don't know if Teddy is a long-term answer. I know that Teddy went 4-0 when he was there, and I know that he proved to that coaching staff and to the higher-ups in the organization that he can take the reps and that he can be the guy. But, the quarterback draft class, as my buddy Daniel made this point out to me, quarterback draft class over the next couple of years is insane, right? Trevor Lawrence hasn't even come out yet. You got Hibbert as well, who's probably going to fall
Ohio
later
State
into the
quarterback that'll come out in the same year as Lawrence, I believe.
Maybe you grab a Jalen Hurts late in the first or early second round. There's a lot of different options that you have out there, as well as free agents, right? So
that's another thing. Who's going to be a free agent in the next 2 or 3 years?
I don't think you tell your franchise guy, hey, we want you to move on. I think you do everything you can to keep him. And like you said, he has family concerns or other outside factors that if you let him go, then you pursue Teddy. I think you have to go with Drew Brees no matter what. So I think, no, I'll leave it. He's not going to retire. I think he's got at least 2 more years in him.
I feel that. I'm going to leave it too. I think Drew will be on a different team next year. So
really?
Yeah.
He won't be a Saint.
Spice things up a bit.
Oh, that is zesty, Mr. Lucas.
All right, what about this? I'm gonna make it even worse. Goes back to the Chargers.
Because Phillip Rivers is going to end up leaving. Because he already packed his stuff from San Diego. They've moved to Florida. This whole family did.
Oh my God, that's even better. Dolphins, team of the future. He's going to be the quarterback with the Dolphins and train up their next quarterback who they're going to draft. Explosions
he's gonna
everywhere, Jackson. That is insane. He's moved to Florida? I didn't know that. This is a game changer. What if this man... I know. What if this man, Phillip Rivers, goes to Jacksonville? Oh my God, I'll cry. I hate playing Phillip Rivers. Sorry.
No, I feel you, bro. I feel you. Okay, let me ask you this question. And this is my take or leave it for you, Mr. Lucas. Just off the wall here. Take or leave it. Drew Brees leaving New Orleans is crazier than Tom Brady leaving New England.
Oh yeah, take it. 100% crazier.
Yeah, there's no way that both of those players are on different teams next year. There's no way.
What if Phillip Rivers goes back to the Saints? What if they just pull the old-fashioned switcheroony?
He was actually drafted by New York.
Oh, was he?
Giants. Yeah, him and Eli, they got traded after the draft.
Well, then I thought Phillip Rivers was... How did Drew get to the Saints?
Drew Brees is already a Charger, and then he injured his shoulder. And then they went with the younger Phillip Rivers, and Drew Brees, as a free agent, went to New Orleans.
Oh, I thought
Sean Payton, who was the offensive coordinator for Dallas, left to take the head coaching job in New Orleans.
Yeah, and didn't want Drew. Yeah, he didn't really want him. Sorry, I thought there was a 3-way trade there that went on.
Oh,
anyways, number 4, take or leave it, Mr. Jackson. Ravens are the favorite for the Super Bowl next year to make it on the AFC side.
I think it's number 1, way too early to have a favorite.
No, it ain't too early. It's never too early.
It's never too early. I knew you were going to say something.
Never too early to start talking football again.
I think there's too many good teams for there to be a perennial favorite going into next year. I feel like the AFC, especially with the Chiefs where they are right now, yes, the Ravens are going to be in contention. Don't count out the Titans, especially if they land Brady. There's teams getting better down there.
What if we land Breeze?
Huh?
What if we land Breeze?
Bro, you're not landing Breeze.
Phillip.
Okay, yeah, take Phillip. That's a significant downgrade from
Teddy.
Tannehill. Take Teddy. That's a significant downgrade from Tannehill.
Okay.
I'm telling you, bro. The only way I see Tennessee having somebody other than Tannehill is if it's the GOAT, Tom Brady.
Yeah, I don't think Teddy is that amazing. A 4-game tryout.
He's good. He's a starter in this league.
A 4-game tryout is not enough for me to say he's a starter. 4 games.
He was a starter in Minnesota, blew out his knee.
And he looked good there. He did.
He did look good in Minnesota. So I feel like he's a starter in this league. I won't call him good. I won't call him great. I won't call him elite. I'll call him a starter.
Better than Lamar Jackson. I am also going to leave it because obviously they're going to be figured out next year. Teams are going to have better ways to stop them. Defenses are going to evolve. And the Ravens will not be 14-2 next year.
Yeah.
Last one, in respect of the clown being put into jail, Antonio Brown should be allowed back in the NFL next year.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I feel like there has to be a significant checklist of things that have to be checked off, including mental evaluations, counseling, medical treatment that Antonio Brown needs to undergo in order to be let back in the league. I feel like he's unstable. I feel like there's probably some CTE or outside mental health illness that's going on with him. I almost feel like there kind of has to be something, because that's the only reason I can have to explain his behavior as of recently. I feel like any team that would even get close to Antonio Brown is going to have a PR thunderstorm come in, and a bunch of inquiries and doubt being cast on the organization and questions as to why entertain a guy like Antonio Brown, especially with how public his media outlashes have been over the past year. So
yeah,
I feel like there's just to be let back in. No, I feel like there has to be a big checklist.
Yeah, I totally agree with everything you said. So it is time for our picks for this week. Recap of last week. AFC won. I picked it. They won. AFC's better. All right.
Whatever.
So
I'm curious to see the comments down below with all of them saying the NFC's better.
So anyways, for the Super Bowl, we have Kansas City Chiefs versus the San Fran 49ers. All right. And I want you to go first. For our picks this week, I want a final score and an MVP.
Okay, that's fair.
Unless I can go first.
I'll tell you what, I got it. This is the most undecided I have ever been leading into a Super Bowl in recent memory. Yeah. And the Rams and Patriots kind of had me torn last year, just because, I thought the Rams with such an amazing offense, but Bill Belichick and Brady, obviously the GOAT.
I thought Eagles Patriots and Falcons Patriots was pretty undecided. I really thought the Rams were overrated last year.
Yeah. Dude, I don't know. Here's on one hand, you have an amazing defense, top in the league. San Francisco, their pass rush is incredible. Their schemes have yet to be beaten. You have a Coach of the Year candidate, Kyle Shanahan. You have the dude with the most amazing chin line I've ever. You have George Kittle, number 2 tight end in the league. They have a 3-headed monster running attack. It comes down to the 49ers defense versus the Kansas City offense. I don't feel like San Francisco is going to be able to put up 28 points. I just don't think they're going to do it. So the question to me is, can Kansas City put up 28 points on the San Francisco defense? The answer for me, I think, is yes. I think Kansas City is going to win this game. I feel like the final score is going to be 34-24. And Mahomes is going to get his first Super Bowl MVP. I have a couple different keys to victory for Jimmy G. But here first, I'm going to tell you guys the why.
For Jimmy G?
Not for Jimmy G. I'm sorry, for Mahomes.
Okay.
And the Kansas City Chiefs. Why they're going to win it is Mahomes' magic. Extend plays and escape the pocket, while at the same time keeping his eyes downfield, is going to provide for some bigger plays than the 49ers are used to. I feel like they have too many weapons and too much speed to guard. This is going to be the best offense that the Niners have played so far this year. I also feel like Honey Badger on George Kittle's matchup. I really feel like George Kittle is going to be double teamed a lot, but Honey Badger is going to make it a tough time for him. Their keys to victory for me: they have to make Jimmy G beat you. Make him prove he's a franchise quarterback. Number 2, shut down George Kittle if at all possible. Lucas made the comment earlier that that's impossible. That's true. You're not going to contain him the entire game. But if Kittle has a big game, Niners are going to win this ball game. Quick, fast plays are needed to wear down this pass rush, which coincidentally happens to be the style of offense the Kansas City Chiefs excel in. They excel in a West Coast offense. West Coast is short, dinky-dimey plays. They utilize their running backs a lot of screens to counteract a pass rush from the 49ers. Lastly, one big play. They need one big play down the field to Tyreek Hill or to Sammy Watkins or Damian Williams to really kind of seal the deal and make that defense honest. I feel like if they get that one big play, especially in the first half, to adjust, make the 49ers adjust their scheme, that's going to open up the rest of the field and the rest of the playbook for them. So I'm picking the Kansas City Chiefs.
I'm going with the 49ers.
Interesting. It's a tough call.
Okay.
It really is.
I'm going with the 49ers. I think it will be 31-28.
Interesting.
And I think Nick Bosa is going to get MVP.
I could see that happening.
All right. Here's why. Number one, the pass rush. Okay? Bosa's going to get a strip sack that's going to change the game somewhere. That's how you beat the Chiefs. The way you beat the Chiefs is you have some wild special teams play or a strip sack on Mahomes or an interception. Like you have to make them make a mistake.
Side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think that they're not going to be able to stop the 49ers from running the football. The reason I think they won't be able to stop them is because they didn't stop Derrick Henry in the first half. What happened was we came back out in the second half and we stalled for like 2 drives. And that was enough for Kansas City to get a lead, and then we couldn't run the football anymore. Yeah. I don't think, number one, with the 49ers coaching staff, along with the way they've been running the ball and how the Titans were able to run the ball, we're kind of one-dimensional, I feel like, running the football compared to the 49ers. They can do a little more, right?
Yeah.
And they have Kittle. And I know the other side has Kelsey, but I think watching how the Titans played Mahomes last week, if the Titans could just get a pass rush, they could stop some of these drives. Like that's what it really felt like. And I think as long as the 49ers can get pressure on Mahomes, they will be okay. Get pressure on Mahomes, run the football, you win the game.
You make a compelling argument. If they can get pressure, run the football, I mean that those are your prime time keys to success. It's just I feel like the Chiefs have too many weapons.
Don't forget about Richard Sherman.
Time. I feel like Andy Reid is due for a Super Bowl victory.
So I don't like the whole due thing because he is like top 6. I think he's 6th or 5th in wins.
Yeah.
All time, which is wild.
He's up there, yeah.
And I do think that if he doesn't win a Super Bowl, there's a chance he might not make it into the Hall of Fame. If he wins one, he will definitely be in the Hall of Fame. So it's a little tricky, but I don't like the whole do thing just because I feel like the other team is a better, more complete football team, and I think they deserve the win. Run, play defense, win the football game.
It's going to be a good game, man. It's going to be a really good game. But, and to your point, like, if the Chiefs can have a couple big plays, they have that one big play, they take the lead, say they go up by a couple scores, it's going to be really hard for San Francisco to come back.
We did see, though, Jimmy G got in a shootout with Drew Brees.
He did get in a shootout.
So, it's not like they can't go do that stuff.
It's not like it's impossible.
The Chiefs' defense is not as good as the Saints.
No, but that Chiefs' offense is way better than the Saints' offense.
True.
Yeah.
Anyways,
it'll be a good game, man. I really was having a tough time making.
See, I think the reason it was easy for me is because they, the Titans played them, and I really was like, all the Titans need is a pass rush. Like that was literally it. I was like, we could just get pressure on Mahomes. Like there was times where it looks like he was confused and he had to scramble because that was just like, he was like, well, I just gotta go. Like,
yeah,
like he wasn't sitting there staying cool in the pocket. Like, dude was like, there's nothing down there, I'm gone.
yeah.
Right. I think we did a good job of mixing some stuff up beforehand because of DNPs. So yeah, it was good. So that is the end of the pod, Jackson.
You want to sign us off, Mr. Lucas?
I will. So, thank you guys for watching today. All right. We appreciate it. We love having you guys here. Please leave comments, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. You can find us where all podcasts can be found, as Mr. Jackson likes to say. All right. Anchor, Apple, Spotify, we're everywhere. All right. We're like the coronavirus that's going around. All right. We're just spreading into everything. That's right. So, thank you guys. Appreciate you guys. I guess there's going to be one more episode, and then that'll probably be it. After this one, we'll have one more, and that'll be the end of season 1. So
one more recap. That's right.
That's it. So, love y'all. Bye.
Love you. Bye.